Hello, you're watching Leeds Student Television. I'm Adam Wolf, and today I'm going to be talking to four of the candidates for the role of Leeds University Union's International and Postgraduate Officer. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at LSTV today. So just to start things off, if you could all please briefly introduce yourself, if you just say your name, your course, and why you're running for this position.
Hello, everyone. I'm Azza, and I'm a PhD student in electronic and electrical engineering. I'm running for international and postgraduate. And the reason why I'm running for this, because I feel that I can make a difference and help international students with a lot of their problems. I come from a very multinational background and lived across 4 different continents. So I feel very confident that I can relate to most of the international students.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a second-year international relations student. I'm running for international and postgraduate students officer because I am an international student myself, and I understand the hardships that international students face, and I want to make sure that all students feel included. I have not had the experience of being a postgraduate student yet, but I want to do my best to make sure that they feel included as well. I want to make sure that they are listened to and that their opinions are brought up and they feel like they matter. Yeah, that's it.
Elena, if you want to go next.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Elena, and I'll be running for International and Postgraduate Officer. I'm third-year international relations student at University of Leeds, and the reason why I'm running for this position is because after this challenging year, I realized how lucky I was to have like a full-time experience at University of Leeds, and I want to help every student at Leeds have the same experience as me and feel all these good emotions of being like an actual student. And I realized that just because we're socially distanced, it doesn't mean we cannot be united. And let's make everyone feel Leeds as home as I feel it.
Hi guys, I'm Nicole. I'm a final year at university doing sustainability and environmental management. And I'm running for this position because I have had quite a lot of experience with student representation. I've done school rep, course rep, and this is the highest it gets when it comes to representing students at Leeds. I'm an international student, I'm from Ecuador, Latina minority, come from a developing country. And I think by being at Leeds, I've learned quite a lot about the importance of integrating international students into the English community. So I want to work with the international community at Leeds and the postgraduate community as well, because I have had quite a lot of postgraduate experience as school rep, working with other postgrads, even though I'm not one. And make sure they have the best experience they can next year, because this year has not been the best for anyone. So yeah, that's what I want to do.
Perfect, thank you so much for that. So we're going to go on to now to just sort of a general overview of your sort of manifesto for the role. So if elected, if everyone could just sort of outline what their sort of top priorities would be as international and postgraduate officer. So Elena, do you want to go first for this one?
Yeah, no worries. So I realized that postgraduate and international students have many common concerns and challenges. So I don't want to separate both groups, and I'll be working with them all together. So my main points of concerns will be fair housing, welfare during a global pandemic, and then the third point I'm most concerned about is career opportunities for everybody, because I've come across different issues, and every time I talk to my international friends, they're saying to me that they find it really difficult to get a job, like either a part-time or full-time job. So future after graduation isn't looking that bright due to the current situation, and I want to work with LeadLUU to fix that and help postgraduate international students feel supported through different kind of activities. One of my plans is to work on employability development fund, which is going to be mainly focused on like how to support international and postgraduate students after they graduate, or like even at their studies in the university.
Perfect, thank you. Azza, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. So my main points are to have a more inclusive experience for international students, but at the same time for postgraduate students. Some of the postgraduate students are PhD, and for the PhD students, their journey in the university is quite isolating because they have to do their research on their own. So it's kind of like trying to bring in those mature students back to be involved with the union, to have more sense of community with the university, and at the same time trying to bridge the gap between international students and home students, and raise awareness and strengthen the points of like what the union can do for you, what services and support are out there for you. And then I want to also work on providing equal opportunities. So to create more jobs and internships for international students within campus during their studies, but at the same time to kind of work with the university on trying to provide more supports for the international students once they graduate, more guidance and support with visa sponsorship issues and how to go about it. And the last point is to provide more financial support. I think the pandemic has made everyone struggle financially, but I think it hit hard mostly the self-sponsored international students, the ones who didn't have any scholarships to rely on. And there hasn't been much support from the university in providing funds for those students. So it's kind of like helping by either reducing the rent or waiving some of the tuition fees, or any kind of more funds, basically.
Perfect, thank you. Nicole, would you like to go next?
Yes, so I think the key thing about merging the role between international students and postgraduate students and making it one big thing is that postgrads and internationals are minorities compared to everyone else. So postgrads are a minority compared to undergrads, and then internationals, there's 9,000 internationals compared to all the other students at university. So the common issue between them is that they're expected to fit into processes that already exist instead of having their own thing, and that's what my manifesto is most based around. So I want to create inclusion, first of all, and introduce an international secretary into the committees of societies, which don't have a lot of diversity considering international students, and this way like kind of create intercultural inclusion. Then I want to establish an international wellbeing committee, considering students from all the societies, international societies in university, to do this, continue frank systems of the buddy system, and collaborate with the language team as well as doing a collaborate with LCV to share the success of international students which have done well at this and eliminate stereotypes that prevent students to do so or students from joining these societies. Then I think there's a big issue with postgraduate representation. They don't get representation as course reps or school reps until halfway through the year. I think they should start before the year begins, because having worked with school rep postgrads, I've realized that it doesn't allow them to make the most. There's a lot of postgrads that are here for 1 year. It doesn't allow them to make the most of this year. I also want to introduce an employability mentor scheme for postgrads, focusing on a lot of them who want to go to research instead of going into jobs. So how do you get a PhD? How do you get into a PhD? And providing support for PhD students as well. Because I agree with what Azza said. I don't think they're as included in the community as other students. I also want to create tier 2 visa information sessions for international postgraduates, because as Elena said as well, a lot of international postgraduates we want to stay here, and undergraduates want to stay here, but don't know how to or don't have the tools how to. And an additional point I want to do, it's also directed as home students who want to go, and international students who want to go in years abroad and haven't had the opportunity or have had bad communication with the study abroad office at uni this year and last year. And due to COVID, so many people were not able to go on their study abroad and still have not had that support. So I want to fix the communication between the study abroad office, partner universities and students, as well as lobby the university to extend single semester abroad opportunities to all courses at university, because only 2 courses do them so far. And I think financially that is unrealistic for so many students, including international. And yeah. Oh, and also, sorry, I think an important point is what COVID has left international students with. So for me, after everything that happened last year, I've got so much COVID anxiety now, and traveling back and forth from my home country to university, I need to, because I can't study at home because of the time difference. I think students need more support with that. So I want to create a COVID anxiety line, like a Unite line, and I want to deliver care packages to all existing and incoming international students returning or arriving at Leeds. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. And last but not least, Anna.
Yes, of course. On my first priority on my manifesto is to reduce international student fees. I know that the current international student officer is working hard on it, and there has been some advancement. So the placement fees are reduced for international students, but I think there is more to be done, and all student fees could be reduced. So we have to work toward that. Second point would be more inclusivity. I'm in a few focus groups that have been talking about how international students oftentimes have a hard time feeling included in their faculties or in societies, don't feel like they have a place to be there or they aren't being heard. I know that when I first came, I really didn't feel like I belonged with all the home students. So I wish that international students and postgraduate students who are a minority compared to undergraduate students, so more of this stuff is focused on home undergraduate students, and I wish that that wasn't the case, so everyone felt included. And so working with other officers, such as an activity officer, to promote inclusivity in societies, and and the equality inclusivity officer to like promote all of this. And third point would be more academic support. Although international students are paying double, and EU and international students have to not only move cities, but also move countries, adapt to a new language, a new culture, build a whole new group, or social group. We are supposed to adapt just like home students, and we aren't given more support. And although postgraduate students have more work, more stress, they are supposed to adapt because they're meant to be able to do it by themselves, but they are not given more support. So I want to put an emphasis on that. And a lot of international students had to go back during COVID and are still abroad at the moment, have a hard time coming back to the country, or just have a lot of issues with that. And I don't think they are supported enough by the university. So I really want to work towards supporting international and postgraduate students more.
So the next question, which is specific to obviously international and postgraduate officer, is sort of how you'll balance these two very different groups of students. What sort of things are you going to have in place for international students, but then also how you're going to put things forward for postgraduate students as well. So Azza, I'll start with you for this one.
Okay, so for the international students, we have the majority of the international students are actually postgraduate. But when you talk about the role as postgraduate officer, you're talking about both international and home student postgraduate students. So I feel that the union can provide so much support for the international students that are coming with their families. When you talk about postgraduate international students, most of them are mature students who have families. And I think although the university is technically their legal sponsor, but their families are quite neglected, and there isn't any services provided for them in any way or shape. And that leads to so much stress on the students because of the university is taking so much of their time. They're not able to spend more time with their family. They're not able to support their family in a proper way. So I think that there can be programs to kind of support the mature students by providing activities for their young ones during like summer holidays or spring holidays, providing free workshops and trainings for their dependents, that sort of thing. But I think that there are so many activities that can be organized to bring those two groups together. There was an event that I used to attend when I came to Leeds, and it's called Meet and Speak. And it's a very nice event where you would just come, people from different culture would come, talk about their culture, where they're from, share their languages. For instance, I would say, like, I want to learn today this phrase and to say it in that language. And then someone will explain it to me, we'll practice it, we'll talk more about our culture. So I think small events like these can actually benefit the students a lot, like just to take that stress away from their studies and making them feel more included.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. Nicole, would you like to go next?
Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I think international and postgraduate being merged is really, really good because they're both very niche groups within the university, and there is a lot of postgraduates are internationals. But I think there's also a gap between international postgraduates and undergraduate and international undergraduates, which needs to be fixed. And this has to do a lot with what I was saying about societies and the inclusion of societies of postgrads and international postgrads specifically. So I think my approach towards this would be very much working with the activities officer, very much working towards an intercultural inclusion of two very different types of groups of students, but which are kind of the same. I think there's similar issues around the status of international and postgrad students as they bring most of the money to the university, but they're not given the support that they should be given because of this. And I think by merging this role and allowing for dual representation of such groups, it can be fixed.
Perfect, thank you. Anna, would you like to go next?
Yes. Everyone's already made such great points. I have very little to say, but I am an international student, and I haven't been a postgraduate student yet, but I think that the most important thing is really about making people feel like they are heard and that they matter and they can talk, they have a voice, and that the university cares about them. I'm really looking up to all the postgraduate students, and I think I have one of my flatmates is a postgraduate, and I'm really impressed with how much she does on her own. But I wish she was receiving more support. I want to become a postgraduate student, so I really want to make sure that everyone gets the best of their experience, the best possible experience at university. So yeah.
Thank you. And Elena?
As I said before, this merge role of international and postgraduate students will give me the opportunity to integrate both minority groups of international and postgraduate students into the university community and to the LeadLUU community itself, because I feel like international students are kind of integrated into LeadLUU and its activities, but postgraduate students, because of their different schedules and all their independent work, they don't have the time to find support from LeadLUU, and they're not really integrated into activities that LeadLUU organizes. So I'm planning to develop the international advisory board that the current international student representative Franks initiated this year. So I'm planning to develop this point and make it more inclusive to postgraduate students as well. So in this way, I'm going to have a representative of both groups, international and postgraduate students, and I can get more feedback on how to improve LeadLUU services. In this way, both minority groups will feel like they belong to the LeadLUU community. I felt the need that international and postgraduate students at the moment experience very difficult times because they don't have the safe space on campus to study and work, because you know how postgraduate students they might find it difficult to stay at home and concentrate while their siblings are running around. So having a space at LeadLUU on campus to do work and to study will be really appreciated. I feel like just having this more role this year will make it a way more easier for officers to target both groups and to tackle different kind of issues that are related, that are integrated, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. Thank you for that, everyone. So now focusing more on the postgraduate side of the role, what will you do to help and support postgraduate researchers whose work's been severely impacted by the COVID-19 restrictions? Nicole, would you like to go first?
Yeah, so as you know, I'm not postgrad, but I would want to be as well. But I have done my looking into what the university has done for researchers, and I don't think it's enough. There are 4,000 researchers in Leeds postgraduate community, and I think they need more support. From what I've gathered, researchers who are in their overtime period, according to the university, are not required to return to Leeds for this year, but they're not. It says that if they want to, they can, but the university doesn't give them any support to do this. I personally, as an international student, I cannot work at home because of the time difference. I don't have the resources. And I think a lot of postgraduate students that are researching might have the same issues and might have them at a complete different level, because obviously as an undergrad, all I need is a laptop, but they may need way more than a laptop to do the research that they're doing. So I would lobby the university to support them in a more effective way, giving them funding to be able to come to Leeds, giving them support to be able to come to Leeds. If they have families, giving them funding to bring their families with them. Because in the end, if they need to be here, they need to be here. A lot of, this also goes with my other point, a lot of researchers seem to be working from home due to the COVID-19 situation. And at school rep, I do work with a lot of the faculty. And a problem that a lot of the faculty was having with the university was that they weren't getting the resources they needed at home. So they weren't getting the computers they needed to work at home. A lot of people need 2 monitors, so they're doing like a lot of things. And I think that's maybe a problem with researchers as well. So making sure that if they cannot come to Leeds and they need to stay home, they have, the university sends them what they need so they can do their research, meet their deadlines, and do everything they need from home. And these are my points, not being a researcher myself, but if I would get the role, I think I would want to collect a lot more feedback on what researchers actually want and actually need, because it is important. And in the end, the Russell Group status of the university relies on researchers. And I think we need to give them the importance of the prestige they bring to Uni of Leeds.
Yeah, definitely. Fantastic. Thank you. Anna, would you like to go next for this one?
Yeah, sure. I think that in this year, the biggest problem for postgraduate students was that they didn't have access to the university, didn't have access to the resources, the labs, and etc. And although the university can't do anything about the government guidelines, they need to be supporting the researchers way more than they currently are. So I hope that we can work towards more support for them.
Perfect, thank you. Azza, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so I'm a researcher, I'm a PhD student, and I'm actually in my final year. And when the pandemic hit, I lost my lab, I lost access to the university, so I had to extend my studies. But even when we were allowed back into the university, I thought that the university would take the initiative. Okay, there are people with critical deadline. This is the step 1, 2, 3. They had several months to prepare for it, but the university wasn't prepared well. So I think because of that, a lot of researchers had to drag along their studies. And for the funded students, it hasn't been much of an issue because their scholarships covered it. But for a lot of the self-funded students, they had limited funds that they had a plan, and now it basically all went to waste. So I think that the university needs to work on kind of a rota for each and every researcher. You have these specific times where you can access your lab. You have this designated desk, because even the designated study spaces for researchers have been taken away because the university, not all rooms are accessible now. So at least to make, we have a very huge campus, one of the biggest campuses in the UK. So they can come up with spaces designated only for researchers to work in. And at the same time, to make the labs, to expand the sizes of the lab so they can have at least 2 researchers working on their research at the same time, the ones who need to do any kind of experimental work. But the other issue is the researchers who started their research during the pandemic. I feel that that group was quite lost. So there should be a mentorship program, a one-to-one mentorship program for researchers who already exist to work with new researchers, kind of to guide them and show them the ropes on how to start and get on with their research.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And Elena?
After I attended different kind of focus groups and doing my research about what university does for postgraduate students, I realized that postgraduate students are dealing with unforeseen financial pressures while working on overwhelming deadlines stuck at home or at their university accommodation somewhere around Leeds. So I feel like university needs to be working more on how to secure a space, especially for postgraduate students or campus, or as I said, like a specific place on campus or on or the labs. Regardless of whether one postgraduate or 2 postgraduates will be working on in one lab, they need to have this space to feel that they're able to do their work and to feel like they're giving the most of their time at least, because obviously at the end of the day, you have done so much for your studies, but university hasn't supported you that much, so feel like you are dragging you on yourself and you are so exhausted that you could not make it till the end of your studies. Because I know a friend of mine who was a postgraduate student, she just dropped out because she couldn't manage the pressure of being postgraduate in this challenging times. So I want to target this postgraduate group because they really need to be supported much, especially during these challenging times, especially like during my time as a buddy support at Digital Education Services at University of Leeds. I've been supporting postgraduate students who are trying to deliver online lectures and they couldn't give their best just because they were limited in different terms, like from technical side of the problem. They were not having the necessary equipment to deliver their lectures, especially for those courses that are more like practical. So I would like to focus more on like how university can support postgraduate students during this challenging time, regardless if they're working at home or at university.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that, everyone. That was some really good answers. So this next one is something I think all of you have kind of slightly touched on as well. But it's one thing you wish had been done this year to support the international students who were unable to return to Leeds this study year. So what sort of one thing you'd wish had been done to benefit people in that position? Anna, I'll go to you for this one first.
Sure. I simply wish that there was more communication between the students and the university. I wish the university reached out to students way more than it did. I feel like most of the things that the university did was send emails with links to resources, but I wish that students felt like the university cared and actually reached out.
Definitely, thank you. Nicole, would you like to go next?
I think just take action, because as an international student, when all of this was happening, I did not feel supported by the university at all. Like, all they did was give you information, but they never helped you deal with that information. Like, for example, for me, I now have massive COVID anxiety because I never knew if I should leave and go home or if I should come back and stay here. I didn't know if I could go see my family over Christmas because would I be allowed to come back after that? And I think they just need to sit down and see, right, this is what our students want and this is what we need to do. You could get home families to host students over Christmas who don't have anywhere else to go. You could get care packages sent to students who arrive in the UK and have to self-isolate because they have no other choice. It's small and easy things that you can do that won't take much money or time, that will really make a difference to someone who's really struggling. And I just wish the university had seen that. Aside from that, academically, I think, I don't know about other international students, I think it's the same from everyone that I've spoken to. If you're unable to come to Leeds and if you're at home, if you have a time difference, it's massive. Like for me, I had deadlines that I had to get done a day earlier than the actual deadline because I had a time difference that I couldn't cope with. I couldn't go, if I had lectures at a certain time, not all seminars, workshops or tutorials are recorded. I think they should be, because if you have no way to get into Leeds and you need to attend these things and it's compulsory, but it's at 3 a.m. in the morning, what can you do? And I also think they need to standardize the way they deliver online lectures, because there's countries where you can't access Collaborate or Google Meet, so make it all on Teams. So yeah, that would be my take on the issue.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Elena?
All three objectives that I have are related to both postgraduate and international students, but I'll be just talking about international students now. So my first point is about fair housing. And I feel like this year, international students have not been supported when they were searching for houses, or like they haven't been in Leeds like even once this year, and they've been paying like fortune for accommodation either in the university or in the private sector. So I definitely want to help international students with how to get refund, or how to get like even if they can't get like a full refund, I want to fight for like a partial refund, and not only for University of Leeds accommodation, because private sector has not given the opportunity to students to get refund. So I feel like house hunting has been a nightmare for our international students, and I want to help them in a way, because me myself, I'm international student, and I couldn't get a UK guarantor for myself to secure a house at Leeds. So I feel like university should be working and change its UK guarantor policy, because when you're applying for university accommodation, you don't have to have a guarantor, but when you are when you're in your second year, you need to be house hunting with your friends, and if they're home students, they don't have this problem. But if you're international, you need to either get a UK guarantor or pay the full amount for the whole year, which is just insane, because it's over like a £4,000 for the whole year. So I want to be working alongside university to change this UK guarantor policy. And then the other thing I want to do for international student will be to kind of like have more either remote or in place campus internships, because they deserve to get the best of their experience in Leeds. And I've had the chance to have different to be working on different positions on campus, but obviously with COVID and all the restrictions, they couldn't get this experience of working on campus and meeting different kind of people, and just the pressure that you need to have like a professional experience before graduating from the university is really challenging, because when you graduate from the university, companies are expecting from you to have like years of experience, and graduating in this challenging year, like most of international students, they couldn't get this experience.
Yeah, definitely. And Azza?
Yeah, so I think that the university has been trying its best to be as clear as it can, but I feel that in the beginning of this pandemic, they kind of put more pressure on the student. They overwhelmed them by bombarding them with all these emails, long emails of unclear details. I think what the university should have done to send out an email saying that this is the current situation, this is our plan. But if this plan does not work, we have backup plans, and these are the steps that we're going to take. I think if that was clear for international students, they would have been able to like have clear plans of whether to go home, whether to stay here. Some students, I know a lot of students have suspended their studies and just went back home because they couldn't figure out what the university is doing. And another thing to like the issue that Elena raised about the UK guarantor scheme. I feel that it's ridiculous if the university is sponsoring students to enter the country and live in the country and work in the country. How are they not able to provide some sponsorship to say, we guarantee that this is a student who's in the University of Leeds, they can live in a private accommodation. So I feel that asking students to pay up to almost thousands of pounds sometimes for UK guarantors, it depends on the company, is just ridiculous. And at the same time, I think it's not fair saying in the economy of most of Leeds is considered an academic city because most of its economy depends on the university income, and most of the university income is coming from international students because they are the ones who are paying the majority 3 times more than what the home students are paying. So I feel that there should be more support for them financially, kind of like, I would say, hey, thank you for giving us all this money and supporting our university. This is how we're gonna help you. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, brilliant. Some brilliant answers there to all of those questions. I think that'll be really useful for a lot of people to listen to. But one last light-hearted question for everyone before we round things up is, when the current COVID restrictions are over, what is the first thing you would like to do in Leeds? So Elena, I'll come to you first for this one.
So the first thing I would like to see is to go to the Edge and see my volleyball team, because since day one at university, I've been playing volleyball with university women's first team, and I've been the captain last year. So I'd like to see my team and play volleyball as always.
Oh, amazing. Well done. I love that. And Nicole?
Oh, there's so many things. My answer is very similar to Elena's. I would love to play some hockey. I would love to be able to get back on the pitch and see my team, see my friends, be able to exercise, be able to play another university. Aside from that, I think I'd like to be able to sit down on common ground, have a coffee, have a bagel, and do my work like I used to do last year, and I can't do that anymore. So yeah, those are the first 2 things I would do on the same day, probably.
Not at the same time. Yeah, for sure. Anna?
I want to be able to meet in person all the amazing people that I've met this year through Zoom and Teams. I really want to be able to just have a meeting in the pub and have a pint and just be able to chat with those people.
I relate to that one a lot, definitely. And Azza?
There's so much that I want to do, but I think the main thing that I miss actually is being in campus around my friends. Whenever I used to feel stressed with my studies, I would go down to the union, grab lunch from the refactory, and just sit outside the union, the precinct, and just like being among other students, just looking around. That takes a lot of the stress of the studies. So I just miss really being in campus around people.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with all of those for sure. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us here today and for speaking about your manifestos and your campaigns. I wish you all the best of luck. For everyone watching at home, voting opens between the 1st and the 4th of March, and then LSTV, we will be live streaming the results on the 5th of March. So make sure to tune in then and see what happens. But yeah, thank you.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Leeds Student Television. I'm Nicola, and today I'm going to be talking to some of the candidates for the role of Leeds University Union's International and Postgraduate Officer. So hi guys, thank you for joining me.
Hi.
Hi. Maybe if we could go around and you could each briefly introduce yourself, your name, your course, and why you're running.
Well, I can go first. So hi everyone, I'm Roxana. I'm a postgraduate taught student doing international communication. I'm originally from Bucharest, Romania. And I'm running because I've been really, really passionate about student representation for as long as I can remember. And honestly, I feel like, especially after this hard year with COVID, I have the drive to help people make the most of their remaining time at university.
Great. Akshay, do you want to go next?
Yes, I would love to hop in. Namaste everyone. I'm Akshay. I'm from India. And I'm studying Master of Arts in Human Resource Management. I come with experience of human resource, and now I'm here to explore the global platform with the University of Leeds. I think I would love to run for an international and postgraduate is because I represent the spirit of the international student, and I think we all have a high stake in not only gaining the knowledge at the university but contributing back in terms of our diverse understanding, cultural, and where we belong from. And I feel that I've always been this people's person, and service has always been my motto in life. That's where I am to explore if I get a chance to serve the larger community of students.
Great. And Olivia, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm in Leeds right now, but I'm originally from Beijing, China. I'm in my second year of banking and finance. I was doing accounting and finance in my first year, and in my second year, I switched to the banking and finance. I'm running for the international and postgraduate officer because I'm an international student, and I know it's quite hard at first to come to a new country and a totally new environment, no family, no friends. So I want to try my best to improve the students' experience here. And also this year it's quite special. It's a COVID, so everyone is maybe feel a bit isolated. So I think I can do something for our international and postgraduate students, and to make them feel settling in, and they can use to their life living in Leeds. Yeah.
Great. So maybe now if you could all tell us about if you were elected, what your top 3 priorities would be, or what you consider your key manifesto points.
I think for me, the first one is increase the engagement between the home students and the international students. Because I asked some of my students, like local students here, and most of them, they don't really have friends from other nationality, because they they have their own group. It's not because they don't want to make friends with them, it's because they don't have the opportunity. And also for some international students, they can also have their own nationality group, so they can't there is no opportunity to make them know each other, learn about each other, and they have their own country. And also maybe they're among them is have some stereotypes. So I think I really want to increase the engagement between the home students and international students, and helping them give them a platform to make friends with each other. So this is my top one. And the second one, I think it's about because our international students, our tuition fees it's much higher than other students. So sometimes it's kind of a bit, I want to try to avoid the commercial education. It's the students is customer, and I think that's not correct. So also I think we should support some, especially some international students. They have the kind of hardship or something. We can provide the financial support immediately, because I did some research. Right now, if you applying for the financial support, the process is just so long and so hard to give it on time, and also because the COVID, so it's even harder. Yeah, I think I want to fix this kind of situation. And the third one, the third one, it's about, oh my god, my brain just suddenly sorry, let me think about that.
That's okay. Do you want us to come back to you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure.
Can I build on what she was
Yeah.
saying? Because I definitely agree. These are things that, you know, the student body definitely needs. And I'm also the school rep for postgraduate students in media and communication. And from this experience, I've realized that the university needs a cohesive and sustainable peer mentoring system that ensures that every student, undergraduate and postgraduate, gets that peer to hold their hand and help them settle into university and life in Leeds, because hopefully we're going to have more students come back on campus, and making it a university-wide platform would ensure that everyone is getting the same standard of training for peer mentors, but also the same standard of support in terms of incoming students. I was also recently elected as the employability, the faculty employability student rep. And this has given me a phenomenal perspective into how employability is delivered at the university at the moment. And I think it's really, really important, especially for international students and for European students like myself, because of Brexit and everything that's going on, to redesign career fairs and to rethink employability in order to not only cater to students' specific skill sets and interests, but to also boost international students' confidence that they can get a job, you know, after finishing their degree here. Another thing that Olivia picked up on, and I definitely agree, is that, you know, I worry a lot that some students, because of the language barrier, are excluded from not only social interactions, but also they're not getting the full range of learning outcomes. And I think kind of collaborating with the Language Centre, who are already doing a phenomenal work, but just rethinking the kind of workshops and programs that they're running would largely benefit, you know, higher integration and making sure that students seize the opportunity to make the most of their time at Leeds. And lastly, I'm really, so I've been working with some school reps, and I'm really curious about the potential of creating a student-led housing platform. That is not to say that students are going to provide accommodation to other students, but the scope of this platform would be to kind of have a student give you advice, tips, you know, tell you how to navigate letting companies or landlords and stuff like that, because especially as an international student or as a postgraduate, when you don't really want to mix with the undergraduate crowd, and you know, you maybe want some more privacy, maybe you're a carer, maybe you're here with your family, you need that specific type of accommodation. And I think it's really nerve-wracking to figure that on your own. So yeah, I would really like to explore that opportunity as well.
Great. And Akshay, would you like to tell us your 3 points or your key points?
It's really tough to go last and be creative. While I agree to all the points, and I don't want to hijack them too, but yes, definitely. These are certain things which, you know, add up to a student's being and definitely adds up to the experience. But you know what, I would like to start with a very basic thing of feeling the belongingness for the international students. I saw every one of us just flying, you know, across the countries without branding where we are going. When I got admitted to the University of Leeds, due to COVID this time, I didn't even receive the hard copy of my offer letter. Everything is over the emails. While another friend of mine who went to the university in the other part of the other continent, I would not name the university, he got a lot of goodies from the university before coming. So first thing is that, you know, I would make sure that international students have a feeling of belongingness even before hitting the campus, where we get a lot of goodies, lanyards, and you know, some things that, you know, already make them start feeling about where they are going. So definitely with that, I would say that, you know, branding is one thing that needs to be worked upon. And why I feel it is important for an international officer to take up branding also is because while I'm investing so much of my time, money into the university, how much is it going to pay me back? When I go back to my home country, and certain countries like India, Pakistan, and China also for that matters, I would say. So these countries go by the names and brands of the education institutes you come from. So definitely that is one aspect that I would like to pick. The second aspect that I would like to pick is also that in the most uncertain times of COVID, while we are living with it, but the future of education, future of work is all going to be online. Coming up with strategies that will give us most of the online learning, and looking at the overall cost reduction, not only the cost of housing, for example, in absence of when I'm not staying, but also making the fees equitable to the amount of experience that we get. I would also like to run a training program for both the professors as well as students, which will bridge the gap of the lack of understanding of gaining knowledge in the online forum, and how we can increase the engagement through the online mode of work and gathering knowledge. And third thing, and I think the most important thing that I can bring with my expertise of being into industry and then coming into education is that I have good network of professional people across industries. So I would definitely love to gather their attraction towards our university students, and that we can make most out of this networking and connections. Understanding the fact that most of the companies are now going to go into remote working as such, so such networks are going to help bridge the time of people getting recruited post their studies. And yes, of course, the focus on employability, as my friend Roxana rightly said, that enhancing the employability would be one of my agendas too. So that's about it.
No, great. Thank you so much for sharing. Olivia, can
Yeah.
I come back to you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry. It's nervous on these calls, isn't it?
I wanna say something about my second point, because I also about the tuition fee stuff. I can't really promise we can like help students get a refund about the tuition fee, but I think because I think this is not a 1 year thing. It can be like 2, 3 years, 5 years. It's quite hard to really get a refund. So, but I think we can do something more, like we can spend more money on students, like do the platform about the online learning, because everything is online right now. So we can spend more money on that to make it the quality is better, and the lecture or the seminars, they can have a better experience for students. And also maybe for some students, they are struggling with the financial stuff, we can buy some iPad for them, because they don't really have the enough money to buy the equipment for themselves. For this kind of students, we can buy something for them. And my third point is oh my god, what's wrong with me today? I think my third point is because right now everything is online, so it's about the connection between students and the university. It's not that same as before. I think the connection should be more tight, I think. And also most of the international students, I think especially the undergraduates, so some of them, they still at home, they haven't really returned to the university. And also university, I know the lockdown before, our university is quite empty. So I think if we want to make sure the quality of the students' experience, we have to do the survey regularly, like not like based on one semester. I think we can do like 2 weeks or 1 month about the survey to ask the students, which part you think we can improve, and which part you think, you are not very happy with that. So we can improve like when not after one semester. So during the semester, we can improve. We can help the students better learn at home, and also maybe if they have some struggling about making friends, and we can help them to do that. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I'll start with you, Akshay, this time. How will you balance these two very different groups of students, international students and postgraduates?
Interestingly, if you look at the data of international students, they are heavily populous in the postgraduate world of the university, while at the undergraduate levels, I believe that most of the international students prefer to complete their undergraduates in their home countries, and post that they take a step ahead to complete their masters or postgraduate or research into a country like, say, US or UK. That's a statistical data, and which is very relevant. So I think that if we kind of equate the problems of not problems though, but if we equate the motivations for both international and postgraduate students, they somehow shake hands to each other. And I think hence balancing would not be a challenge, but dealing with it creatively this year, out of all the years where everything was face to face, is the biggest challenge. And that has to be tackled, creatively. So I think both these portfolios are something that can always work hand in hand and share same amount of motivation. But yes, a lot of creativity is needed in terms of bridging the gap of the experience that one needs to get of being at an international place, as well as reaping most out of the fast-paced postgraduate 1-year course.
Thank you. What about you, Roxana? What do you think?
Well, I was an international undergraduate myself. I moved to the UK when I was, I think, 19. Yeah. So I know very well what it's like to move to a new country for the first time and try to figure it out as soon as possible. And I'm also really happy to see that the role of the postgrad officer is explicitly mentioned in the title, because whereas previous officers were kind of, overlooking postgraduate students as well, I do feel that a lot of the times postgraduate students are kind of left out. Even if that's not the case, it does feel like conversations kind of focus on undergraduate students. So it's good to see a role that explicitly says, this person is here to represent you. So, for example, with the safety policy, it doesn't really include postgraduate students for multiple reasons, but it kind of contributes to that idea that, oh, I'm a postgraduate, I'm considered to be an adult, so I can fend for myself, but I would kind of like to know that the university cares about me as well. And obviously, like, Franks did a phenomenal job of being the first international officer, and we do agree on a lot of policies. Both of us are working towards a peer mentoring system. He's putting the base right now, and hopefully if elected I can see it come to fruition, because as Olivia said, these are not projects, most of them, that happen overnight. It takes time, and so it's great to see that things are moving in that direction already. So having the personal experience, but also having been, in multiple student representation roles, I think it's going to be fine.
Great, thank you. And Olivia, what do you think?
I think for postgraduate students, because they only have 1 year, and because I'm working at the ZIF building for the student ambassador. So I also pick up the new arrival students from the airport. So most of them right now, they came to Leeds, it's all postgraduates. So I can talk with them, but they just look so confused at first. I know what their feelings, because I also experienced the last year. So I think we should pay more attention to them, because they only have 1 year. They have to get used to their as soon as possible. They have to be quicker than the undergraduates, because undergraduates will have 3 years or 4 years time, but postgraduates only 1 year. So, and also they have dissertation, they have like presentation, a lot of uni work to do. So it's kind of like I think to some extent at first, I think we should like support them more, pay more attention to them, and also I think more than 80% of postgraduates, it's like international students. So it's kind of like hard about them to situation to balance their how to use to their life and also how to do the uni work. And for the undergraduates as our international students, I think we all also very important to make sure their mental health, their well-being, and also they can make friends. They can like, because right now everyone feel isolated, and also because I'm living in the university accommodation, and I think half of the room is empty, so it's a bit hard. And also the rule is very strict to really meet a new person, meet new people, make friends with them. And yeah, and also about the uni work, especially the international students, maybe not everyone, but maybe some of them, they kind of like at first, because it's different the education system with they experienced in their country before. So I think we should like provide more help in this at this point.
Great, thank you, Olivia. So my next question would be, what will you plan to do to help and support postgraduate researchers whose work has been severely impacted by COVID-19 restrictions?
So I've actually had quite a few conversations recently with postgraduate researchers. My flatmate is doing her PhD. I have other friends who are doing PhDs, and they were saying like the paperwork at the moment takes a lot of time to be processed. And some of them find themselves to be teaching currently in a very weird gray area where they're not necessarily being paid because the paperwork hasn't been processed yet, but they also have to teach in order to get their degree. So one thing that I really want to do is see whether we can simplify or transparentize the way in which international students, especially because they have more paperwork to go through, can deal with this in an easier and more, user intuitive way. And aside from that, something that I'm very, very passionate about is working with the library to see whether the request the document form can be optimized, because I know it's currently on the library website, but you don't necessarily get any news back from the library whether they've processed your request or whether they can direct you to other resources. And I think for postgraduate students, both taught but especially researchers, this is so crucial, having access to material and articles, especially now when, it doesn't really help that the library has one hard copy, because, obviously, first of all, that does mean everyone can get a hold of it. And also with people being all over the world at the moment, getting more e-resources would fundamentally change how researchers do their work.
I think for the postgraduate students, we should. I think especially do the science course, they should use the lab. And when they do the research, right now it's a bit hard. So I'm trying to think about like, is there any ways to help them finish their kind of research when they need to use lab? But right now the lab is not open. And also for the music school students, they have to practice and they have to book the piano if they use the instruments. So it's also quite hard to finish their postgraduate research. And also I agree with the library thing. Yeah, I think it's very important about when they need some kind of documents or something. It's right now it's just needs a lot of time. So when you book online, if I want to borrow a book from the library, it's also always processed like 1 or 2 days. But sometimes I just really need this. So I think maybe can try to fix this kind of time problem.
Great, thank you, Olivia. Akshay, anything to add?
The first thing is that someone appearing for research itself is such a tough thing. Like I'm so overwhelmed by doing just masters, and I'm just thinking the amount of challenge that a person naturally has while he does research. And I think with the COVID-19 and less avenues to even travel, and understand the first-hand data for completing the research, or if you're in the mid of the research, then the most difficult part is to get everything together and present it and close it. So I think it is much hard to actually come to consensus as to what we understand from their perspective the challenges would be. But some of them that I have cited and I understand are of greater concern are delay in receiving the feedback, lack of supervision guidelines, and poor supervision due to COVID right now. So definitely, we have many sections in our university itself which work towards enhancing experience of the research community, and one of them which I know because as a part of LUBS and human resource is the word that is work, employment, and research development. I would make sure that I connect with such departments, and because the student is taking up a PhD from the University of Leeds, I would make sure that enough mentor support is provided in terms of how to tackle the timelines, etc. Of course, everyone might be talking about relaxation of dates and all these things, but qualitatively, such deadlines are can be overwhelming sometimes. So not only the research and support in terms of say relaxing or providing more supervision, but at the same time also taking care of a fact that they are not sidetracked or demotivated mentally. So providing all those resources together is something is going to be of a major challenge as such. But I'm sure that it's not only in the capacity of the officer, but since everyone contributes towards closure of issues, I'm sure that with the skill that I've acquired to connect between the departments, and I'm a fear speaker. I can put across my point legitimately, very clear without sugarcoating sometimes. But I think a clear communication in what is actually expected, and customizing it as per the needs of researchers, because they are a small group but a very intense group of people who are very dedicated towards completing their work. I think I would definitely lobby for getting all the things that are required by defining their problem statement, by proposing a solution, and reaping all the help that is needed to be done. So I think that would be my little contribution towards helping them succeed in their research work.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing. So my next and final kind of serious question would be, what is the one thing you wish had been done this year to support international students who are unable to return to Leeds to study?
We understand that these times have been certainly different in different areas, and a lot depends on how government's outlook towards the travel has been. I believe that the method of communication that has come out of the university has been really very dicey, sitting so many miles across. I understand that there were very impulsive sort of communications that came to us, which made us sometimes very proactive to make a travel plan, and sometimes put us in a dilemma whether I should travel or not. And say by the end of January, it was more clear that for coming months, if I'm still stranded here, I might have to stay. So I think what would have best worked is that there was an open and clear communication of what's actually going on in the England. I understand that there are a lot of political barriers about information of what I also see on the media of the UK, but it becomes a sense of responsibility that if something is not clear, we give people relaxed deadlines about, letting them know that everything is going to, start, what you say, late. And the biggest surprise for us was, where we attended the first day remotely, and it was said that everything would go off remote. So I think all these examples hint towards a crystal clear communication to international students, because it's not that they have to just lift and shift. There is a lot that goes emotionally, physically, that they are overwhelmed with, and hence I think key is the communication. Right communication would have definitely helped people, plan their travel and stay correctly.
Yeah, for sure. Roxana, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I definitely agree that communication is key, but also, and it's kind of in line with communication, I think it's super important, and Franks is already doing this, but hopefully the situation won't continue next year, but I will definitely make it a priority to continue lobbying the government for fee reductions, because this is not something that the university can tackle on its own. This is something that you have to bring up with the government, have them discuss this. And, I'm even considering like retroactive reimbursements, because it still makes a whole lot of difference, especially for international students who pay so much money to be here. Another thing is, I wish there was more encouragement for students to apply to the hardship fund, and especially for international students, because I've heard a lot of stories from students who got their visa but ultimately could not come to the UK. So that was a lot of money that was just wasted. And so, students may feel like the hardship fund is not for that purpose, but just making it clear that this is a budget that the university has and that you're encouraged to make use of it would really change everything. And lastly, what I wanted to say about the entire COVID situation is that there's so much work to be done, and I know that the university is doing its best. I think what we should focus on moving forward is trying to adapt everything from teaching to resources and stuff like that in order for it to justify the cost, because someone actually brought this up to me while I was collecting feedback for the agenda, and they were saying that they looked online and the price of online courses is something around £4,000 or something like that. Obviously the content itself is not as profound as what we're doing right now, but they were saying, well, if I did everything online, why can't I be charged for the price of an online course? There are many things that go into it, and it's a very complex conversation, but I think it's a conversation worth having.
Yeah, definitely. Olivia, do you have anything else to add as well?
I think if I choose one thing, like I said before, I think I will build a platform to help students to to get their feedback like regularly. It's like 2 weeks or 1 month, this to make sure we just everything went very well. And I think another part is because I'm also a Link to Leeds ambassador. I know we already do like some social like 3 times a week. So we are all like international students who join us, and some of them they are postgraduates, but they all stay at home. They haven't really returned. So some of them just said, "Oh, I even don't know what my university looks like. I just come here wanna ask, the people live here, what's it look like? I want to know the situation here." And also for the international postgraduates, they haven't returned. They just, "Oh, I really miss Leeds. I back to my country like from last year March, but I haven't back here almost like 10 months. I really miss here. I want to know what happened in our university on campus. I hope you can show us, like, to tell us what's a new thing and what's the like new rules. We are all curious. So I think it's, yeah, everyone, like students at home, they really wanna involved in our university when our university like grow with our university. So I think we should give our students more opportunity to learn about our campus, our change, and even they are at home, they can still feel like, oh, even I'm home, but I'm also in Leeds, I'm also being involved, I'm also can engage with our university's development.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Olivia. Okay, well, thank you so much, guys. Just to wrap up, a little lighthearted question. What are you guys most looking forward to doing in Leeds once restrictions lift? Or I guess, actually, but getting to Leeds, I suppose, is maybe yours.
The first thing that I want to do is to, pinch myself when I get to the immigration in the UK that, oh yes, finally this is happening. And I'm sure this is a story for a lot of us here who are stranded and, are longing for. I think once the lockdown is open and everything seems to be really very human and no more virtual, I think the first thing that we should do is have a nice freshers party. Though will not be the freshers, but all of us will be the freshers out of this virtual world. So we should all get together and have a nice who's who, I think with a very grand thing, like a week's time of celebrations where we have various themes, like international themes, we have home themes, we have some, and I know that we already have infrastructure in our universities where we can have good things going on. So yeah, just reviving that experience of being at the university and not being into those small rooms all together, and then making it a point that I should see someone, just getting back life to normal and celebrating that the life is normal now is something that I would definitely love to do.
Yep. What about you, Roxana?
I mean, I'm really looking forward to being able to hug someone. And I really miss like face-to-face meetings. I think online is fine, but I feel like I can really establish a connection with the person I'm speaking to if it's face-to-face and we can have a coffee. So yeah, I long for that kind of like personal connection again.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people feel. What about you, Olivia?
I think the first thing I just wanna buy a trousers indoor, because from the Christmas till now I already gained weight around like 6 kg. So I only have one trousers can fit in right now. I really need a new trousers, but now all the store like they can't really like ask, like we cannot try out. So I really want to buy a trousers. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for joining, and we wish you all the best for your campaigns. Good luck. And for everyone else, so voting opens between the 1st and 4th of March, and then LSTV will be live streaming the results on the 5th. But yes, thank you so much again for joining me. This has been great.
Thank you for having us.